Right before I headed to Botcon 2011, I found out that George K., one of the main men behind Megas XLR, was going to be in attendance, and after contacting him, he was totally up for chilling out and having a small discussion, a recorded one at that, about giant robots and why they're cool. When I met up with him at Botcon, he had a friend in tow who also worked in animation and was also attending Botcon and also wanted to join us. And they mentioned a third friend of theirs was in the building somewhere and could he come along too? And I said, sure. So check out the results of talking to some really cool dudes who are in animation and also dig robots.
Vaudiosonic. Accessing archive 05. Robovention XLR. June 4th, 2011. The man known as George K. brings a couple of friends along to a convention about robots. Recording begins.
Hello, everybody. This is your host, Vangelus, here with another podcast. This time another interview in a hotel room, and this time with a whole bunch of people, because I thought it was just going to be myself and George K.
How's it going? But I tricked you.
You tricked me.
I brought a couple other nerds with me.
Would they like to introduce themselves?
This is Josh L.
Josh L. All right.
I guess we just use our first letter for our last name. I'll go with Will F.
All right. For the purposes of brevity, should I just say that you are some gentleman I bumped into in the dealer room and decided to take up to my hotel room to record a podcast?
we could say that, yeah.
Well, you could probably say your background, right?
We're all animation producers, creators, and we're all hardcore robot nerds. So we figured we'd talk about both for your listening pleasure.
Yeah. Also, big thanks to, I'm going to get his name wrong again, Darth
Prime, yeah.
On Twitter, who set this whole thing up, basically.
Thanks, Darth.
Yeah, he was all like, hey, guess who's coming to Botcon? George K. I'm like, really? You should interview him. Okay. So I thought we could just talk about, like, a little bit about giant robots, a little bit about what you guys do, how it relates to giant robots, and how you've been enjoying yourselves at the show. So I do know that there are a whole bunch of fans of Megas XLR out there.
Right on.
In the Transformers fandom and elsewhere. And I was actually just talking to a friend of mine who's a big fan of the show. And cool. I thought I could open with a question that he had, actually, which was, well, this was a bit more general. He was actually wondering where you would have liked to take that show. And my own question was, where would you have liked to take in that show in terms of adding giant transforming robots to it? Maybe I'm not the same question, I don't know.
Yeah, well, we actually, when we got canned, we were writing a feature. So we were going to do one of those Cartoon Network, Saturday night feature, like Ben 10, I think, does one every weekend now. But but yeah, we were writing one of those. So we were going to go kind of bigger and epic, and we were going to address the whole Glorft War and all that fun stuff. But yeah, and transforming robots, I think that we had a few transforming robots throughout the course of the series. Mm-hmm. We didn't want to hit that too hard on the nose, but there was one episode where we had two warring tribes of robots. One was voiced by Frank Welker, the leader, and then the other one was Peter Cullen. So basically, we did our total Transformers episode without calling it Transformers. So I think we kind of put that idea to bed in that episode.
And just one more from me, which was, I know you've probably been asked this question before as well, but what would you have liked to see in terms of Mega's merchandise?
We had a lot of meetings with consumer products, and they pitched a lot of cool ideas. And the coolest was actually a video game, and it was supposed to be Grand Theft Megas, because at the time Grand Theft Auto just came out and it was huge. And the idea was, like, you get into a robot and you break everything. Like the entire world is breakable, and you can do anything you wanted to with a robot, which is what we did in the show. So it would have been, an interactive Megas experience, a la like if you were Coop. So yeah, that really excited us. And then Cartoon Network was like, nah, no more of that, So that ended there.
Actually, that drew for when Megas came to an end. I was thinking about that a lot when recently Symbionic Titan got canned.
Yeah.
And that was a real bummer because I heard on the grapevine.
It was a beautiful show.
Yeah, and the reason it got canned was they said, well, it actually had pretty good ratings, but didn't bring us any viable toy sales. And I kept thinking to myself, that's because there were no toys made of it.
Yeah. Well, now, this is probably something that Will can speak a little bit about, is a big aspect of getting shows on the air is merchandising. Like, they look at the merch before they make the show sometimes. And I don't know if you want to add some insight into that without getting into trouble.
Yeah, I mean, to anybody that doesn't know, like, most of these shows are like just toy driven, like Hasbro, Mattel, Bandai all have a hand into how the show is made, and they actually provide some of the budget for the shows. So as a result, like, what was the question again?
The whole merchandising aspect.
Yeah, the whole merchandising aspect is really important, and that's what actually helps get more seasons. Like, the more toys you sell, the more seasons you'll get. And as a result of, like, I guess from Symbionic Titan, you didn't see any toys. There was no money going into the actual show.
Yeah, and it was so bewildering to me because just the way I heard it, it was as though they thought, well, there's no toy money coming in. And I was thinking, like, it's such a viable toy-driven thing. Some people were saying, oh, how can you do the Titan in toys? And a lot of people pointed out, like, old 70s Microman thing. Yeah, clear figures with stuff inside.
Right, yeah.
It's a real bummer because Megas as well. Just the Megas design itself is such... It looks like I should be able to buy that on the shelf because it's a huge robot with a car on top.
Yeah. Chogo King Megas.
Yeah. Well, we had one of the issues we had was we had moms going to Toys R Us. Like, we got a few reports of this and going like, "Where are the Megas toys?" Because the kids were screaming for them and they just wanted them to shut up. And they're like, "I can't find it anywhere." But I don't think that merchandising came in at the right time.
Yeah.
I also think that our development and our production was kind of not the traditional way you do shows, because we did the whole kind of, there were a bunch of pilots that they had compete for the slot at the time. I forget what it was called, like Pick a Cartoon or something like that. And ours got picked and then we got rushed into production. So I think we got through the process before anyone knew what we were actually doing. That's why we got away with murder. And then they were like, oh, we have a series. We should maybe bring merchandising on board. So I think they came on a little too late.
That's a shame. But nonetheless, like, it's got a legacy to it. Symbionic Titan's going to have a legacy to it as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really sure. And I keep hoping that, once those licenses fall to an area where they are gray enough, you just get a Japanese company to come in and like, we're just going to make a toy of it.
Do bootlegs. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Maybe like see one at Wonder Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Cool.
But just going off of that, just robots in general. All you guys are here at Botcon. Are you all here for primarily a Transformers interest, or because this is kind of this is a Transformers convention, official one, but it has a whole lot of non-Transformer robot content to it, and a lot of Transformers fans. I find it's very rare to find a Transformers fan who only likes Transformers.
That's a good point. And in fact, I'll throw Josh under the bus on that, because he used to be a hardcore Star Wars geek, but he was just mentioning to me how he likes the vibe of Transformers and kind of how the aspect of Transformers, he doesn't know everything. Like, I think everyone knows everything about Star Wars now, but Transformers, there's so much more to it. It's more than 6 movies and a couple TV series.
Yeah.
So Josh, would you care to comment?
Yeah, I watched Transformers G1 like when it first aired, and watched. I'm a big fan of the '86 film, but beyond that is kind of where my Transformers fandom interests like stop. Mm-hmm. So I didn't watch really any of the subsequent seasons. I haven't followed it since the early '90s, late '80s. So there's so much more, and basically, I wanted to come to this because I'm a fan of the old Transformers, but I also wanted to hang out with friends. And coming to a convention like this, where I only know like a very small area of it, it's kind of refreshing in a way, because one, it's the show isn't that huge. It's not like a Comic-Con or anything like that. But and I like coming to shows like this just for the spectacle of it, to watch other people, to see what other people are crazy about, and to see what there is. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Have you felt interested to check out any of the post G1 stuff?
There's so much to watch, like not just with that, but I have so many other shows that I want to get into. And eventually I would like to, check out some of that stuff. But it's like, I love the old G1 stuff so much that I can't watch, when I look at new stuff, it's, all I can think of is comparing it to the old stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe I would like it. I don't know. I'll give it a shot sometime. But
yeah, I mean that's something that goes on with Transformers fans all the time is comparing things to previous media. Like we just had a great show called Transformers Animated come to an end, and the first thing that happened when Prime came out was everyone just drawing a direct comparison from Prime's debut episodes to Animated's later episodes, and going, why isn't this like this? Prime has come up quite a ways from its opening. But the comparisons are always going to be happening. Although I will say, Animated was made by quite a devout G1 fan. On the
yeah, and I've heard from a lot of people they've recommended that I check out the Animated, that new series, and I think that's something I do want to check out. But like you said, those comparisons will always be there. Mm-hmm. But I'm willing to check it out and be surprised and be a fan of some new stuff.
Also, when you mention not having much time, that's what hits me with anything. Like there's the sheer number of series that I would like to watch, and just talking about like robot centric series that I'd still like to watch. It all stacks up. Like that's what happened to me in Symbionic Titan when it was on the air, because there were so many shows going on at the same time. Like I was watching the new Transformers, and then there's Symbionic Titan. Young Justice was kicking off then, I think, as well. It does stack up pretty heavily.
And not just animated stuff, too. I talk to friends, I'm like, oh, have you seen this new show? I'm like, no, add that to my list, which is getting, it's growing faster than I can actually watch things. And
that's because you're too busy making shows.
Yeah,
what?
That's true. Which very true.
So with you guys coming down to the convention, I'm guessing you all came in as walk-ins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you guys are kind of local-ish?
Yes. Very local.
Hardcore local. Yeah. So, was there anything on the show floor that really struck you as a surprise, or was it kind of what you were expecting?
We were here 2 years ago, so nothing really shocked me. But I do like seeing the custom stuff, like making the custom parts for the
third-party stuff.
Yeah, that stuff is really great, and I'm always blown away by just the level of passion for this genre, to bring about that kind of stuff on a mass scale. The costumes just blow me away too. But I just like the vibe, coming here with, being submersed in with all the other geeks that dig it. I mean, it's just, you can feel it, and it's kind of very comforting.
Well, and also, I was going to go on to talk about if you guys got any swag, but as I understand it, you're the only fellow who's really bought stuff so far. You bought quite a hefty haul, I saw on our way in.
I bought an empty box. Yeah, Shout Factory just released all the G1 stuff compiled into a slipcase box set. Beyond, I guess 2 years ago, they released what was it called? The Matrix set? Yeah. And I bought all the individual sets, and I needed to have the empty box to hold it all. So.
But you saved on the shipping.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Yes, that's true.
Free ground handling.
Yeah.
Courier service.
Actually, you'd mentioned you were looking at some of the third-party stuff. I haven't had a chance to see what Fans Project put out on the tables today, but you said that you were looking at those Insecticons?
Yeah, those look so great. I saw them. Well, I guess they're not out yet, but I mean, I want them all, but I think I want it all, but I want it all. But I think I can only afford one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one because I think Fans Project has done a really great job of enhancing the toys, the stock toys, and then just adding on to that, and especially since that causality line is like so amazing, that it has like that sense of like Japanese sense of design, of like posability, and that's what I like about it. And plus, like the stuff that I want and like, it's kind of eclectic, I guess. It's very narrow in terms of the things I want, but when I beam into that, like when I see the causality Insecticons, for example, like I need it, I want it. I need it. It doesn't matter what my girlfriend says. Like, I'm gonna
Wait, you
buy
have a
it.
girlfriend?
No.
You left her on the floor.
Oh yeah, I did leave her on the floor. I just got a text message earlier. I think I'm in trouble.
You're in trouble, dude. Yeah.
Sorry.
Robots.
And George, when you're on the floor, you said before you're more of a fan of the '80s side of robots. I was wondering, aside from some of the '80s stuff you might see on the floor, how do you feel about some of the because there's been a big resurgence in '80s referential stuff in new merchandise and media? I find where you'd go through periods where stuff you'll throw in references here and there, but speak in terms of Transformers, for instance, like there's the toy line called Generations, which is basically just gigantic nods to the '80s roots of a lot of where those characters come from.
I bought all that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah. No,
that's the short answer to that question.
Yeah, no, I as these guys know, when it comes to like Transformers and Star Wars and any of the, like, the Star Wars has the vintage line, I just buy the hell out of that. And any nods to the old G1 stuff, even if it's a slight design of a head of a robot, I'm like, okay, I need that. So yeah, all that stuff, because in some ways it's wonderful because you're rediscovering your childhood, but it's the new designs and new manufacturing, like the bots are so much better, because if you look at some of the G1 toys, they're not fun to play with. They're hardly fun even to display, but it's like in your mind, they are what the new versions are, in actuality.
Yeah, that's been one of my favorite things about just Transformers for the last couple of years, is this the neo-classic kind of approach of take everything that people love about the old stuff, but show folks who might be real curmudgeon-y and just sticking on those old toys. Like I don't need it to do more than bend at its elbow. Yeah, and I'm like, well, it can look like the same character, but do a disco pose.
It. Yeah, totally, absolutely. Yeah. I think they should continue with that. I think eventually this whole vintage cycle will burn out. Yeah. But go out there and buy as much as you can while it lasts.
Yeah, a good announcement from the Hasbro panel that happened today actually is that Generations will be continuing through the year.
Awesome.
While the movie line starts up.
Right on.
Is this a good time to tell you also they said that there's going to be a 25th anniversary Unicron toy in October.
Whoa. Really? What's the scale?
It's that Armada Unicron toy.
Oh, is it that really big?
It's with the new head they did over in Japan.
Yeah.
Nice. It's going to be done up fully colored like in the old movie, and
yes.
It's going to be on Amazon.
You need it.
You need it, Josh.
Yeah, because I have all the other versions. I have I think they put out 3. Yeah. I'm bad.
Recently on some Japanese.
Yeah.
Right?
At the panel they revealed it's going to be an Amazon exclusive in October, I think.
Amazon Japan or Amazon?
Oh, Amazon.com.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Domestic.
Cool.
Very movie themed.
Awesome. Done. Thank you for that.
No problem. Going off that, also, there was something that you mentioned actually before about the sheer amount of fiction there is for Transformers, and that kind of takes me into wondering what you guys think of the the most. I don't like to use the word infamous, but it's the big Transformers media, which is the live action movies. Mm-hmm. A lot of folks have looked at those, and a lot of folks have derided the second one in particular. But I was wondering how you guys took the way those delivered on those concepts, and the interesting thing I find about those movies is that they are so divisive and held to such esteem, but when you look at how much Transformers fiction there is, they actually are not all that important in the bigger picture, because each one is a 2.5 hour entry, and there are entire TV series that are multiple times that length, like the Japanese dubbed series were all 51 episodes each.
Yeah.
So just with those live action movies, how did you guys take that kind of stuff?
I took it badly. I think probably a lot of the G1 fans did for various reasons. Mm-hmm. And I totally appreciate what they did, and to put a positive spin on my comment, I'll say that they brought a whole new generation into Transformers, which is wonderful. They also brought your mom into Transformers, Your mom knows what it is now, And the best story I heard was from a friend of mine back home, lives in a small town in Ohio, and he said he took his parents to go see Transformers, like the first movie. And in the middle of the movie, his mom turned to him and said, "I get it now. I understand." And it's like his whole life he was trying to, explain to his parents.
Mom, it's
like,
normal.
It's like, yeah. And she's like, "I get it." So like his whole wasted youth was validated. So for that, hats off. But as a filmmaker, I mean, it's horrible. It's trash. I mean, and the designs, I know that this is a whole other thing that we could go off for hours, but you have to make a connection to your main characters. You have to have some sort of emotional connection. And when it looks like, pieces of interlocking aluminum foil moving at all times in different colors, you're like, is that someone I should care about? Wait, is that the bad guy or the good guy? I don't know. Fuck it. Sorry. But
explicit. All right.
But yeah, I'll stop ranting. I'll pass it on to these guys.
Yeah. I don't think I dislike the films as much as all the other old G1 fans did. I take them for what they are, and all I want to see is I just want to see giant robots blowing crap up. And I don't care about the story. I don't care about any of the side stories or anything. I just my brain shuts down and I just want to see, robots fighting, stuff blowing up. And the effects I think are amazing. But yeah, like George said, as filmically, they're really terrible. And I think getting, Peter Cullen to do the voice of Prime, the thing drew me in a lot.
Yeah.
If they had somebody else doing it, I think I would have shut those movies out a lot more.
That was a big push, I recall, back when the first movie was being produced.
Yeah.
They had to do a lot of work to make sure every investor understood, like, no, we got to get Optimus Prime's original voice in on this, or we're going to lose a lot of.
Yeah, I remember that it was a lot of big effort to get him in there.
Yeah.
And I have to say I'm looking forward to the third one. But for the same thing, I'm going to go in, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to check my brain at the door, and I'm just going to, if I could go in with the 86 soundtrack on an iPod and listen to that while I'm watching the film, I totally would do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't care what's going on in the story. I just want to see.
You're going to see a giant metal snake pinch a building in half.
Whatever. I'll bring it on.
Did they do that at Gotcha Man?
It did, right?
In every episode.
Yeah.
It's a cameo.
My opinions. I understand them. I understand what they're for. I'm kind of indifferent to them. It sucks, but it's a movie, and like Josh says, you'd see giant robots bashing at each other, which is great. But the way I'm looking forward to this third one is it's from what I understand, it's Michael Bay's outro film to the property. So maybe I just see it as like a growing pain for the next person that's supposed to helmet and hopefully not mess it up.
Yeah, the term you use, like what they're for, is actually the best way I found to describe the films, regardless of how you take them. Because whatever the opinion is on the films, what they pulled off is basically, here's a giant box of money to go make whatever you want, as well as the stuff that we want for this movie.
Right, and hopefully, like with all the money that they make, maybe one day, hopefully, someone will helmet and do a decent version of it.
Yeah,
I was shocked when I first saw it. When Optimus removed his face guard and he had lips, I felt like my world was destroyed. Or I felt like
You destroyed my world.
I
Fell
felt
out of your
like
chair.
I felt the same as when Optimus died in the movie. You're like, oh,
Something inside of you died.
yeah, something's not right.
Just going outside of Transformers for a second, is there any currently like a giant robot property you guys have your eyes on pretty intently or are enjoying, like some kind of non-Transformers thing?
Well, there's an anime series that actually Will got me into, Gurren Lagann.
Oh yes,
which is just phenomenal. It's amazing. I think it transcends anime. It should be required watching for anyone who's interested in not only robots but epic storytelling.
The lead director on Animated was a big Gurren Lagann fan going in, and it's not like there's direct references in it, but you kind of feel that energy going on in the production. And then there was a direct reference thrown in there eventually.
Oh, really?
There's literally a Lagann style little head robot at one point with I think did the little Constructicon dude didn't even have a drill in his forehead? Yeah, he did.
It's confirmed.
Yeah. We've got
We had our expert in the room here.
we've got production staff in here as well.
Let me go call Derek.
Yeah.
Right on.
I was born and raised on Gundam, so I I'm following the Unicorn series right now, which is great because it's a callback to the Universal Century, which they haven't done in a long time. You know, like Strike, Double O, what else? Wing. Like they weren't part of the UC Century.
Yeah.
And what's great is that Unicorn is now back at the UC Century, which is like what every fan wants to see. And the designs are done by Kotoki Hajime. So like he's the best Gundam designer. It's so amazing. And Gurren Lagann's one too. Recent stuff. I don't think I've watched anything recent, but I went back to the original Giant Robo OVA, the Imagawa-san version.
Is that the one with like the giant eye and stuff like that?
Yeah, the day
That's
the Earth
awesome.
stood still. Oh, that's my girlfriend.
Where are you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of like barrel type robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's robots and robots and robots.
I'm glad to hear someone else checking out Giant Robo. I watched that on a slight recommendation and on a slight whim because I found the whole series for like $10 at a video store. And
It's
it was awesome.
really good. And what they did was, I forgot who the creator of Giant Robo was.
Yeah.
But they actually integrated characters from that guy's comic book that isn't part of Giant Robo.
Yeah.
So they incorporated like people, I think, from like the Romance of the Three Kingdom comic book, which is famous in Japan, and like they just amped it all up, you know.
It's an awesome show. It's a show where you turn on one episode and you're like, it's only a couple episodes. I'll just watch one a day or something. And that's what I did. And then, you know, several hours later, I'd finished the whole series because I couldn't stop watching that. It has such good style.
Famous, like a lot of famous animators that eventually worked on Gurren Lagann, and all this other like, you know, famous robot anime, worked on it. So, and it's great because it's not digital, you know. Like these days it's like, you know, it's digital, so everything's faster. I mean, all this was done on like hand painted cell.
I don't really go beyond Transformers too much. As far as, I mean, when I was younger, toys, and I loved Micronauts so much and Shogun Warriors. But George mentioned Gurren Lagann, and I'm not a big anime fan at all. Mm-hmm. And what we were talking about before with like just the sheer number of shows that we have to watch, I don't want to say I don't want to waste my time, but I wait for somebody to tell me you should watch this.
Yeah. And
I had a friend who recommended Gurren Lagann, and I was blown away. I mean, I'm not a big anime person, and I loved that show. Yeah. And it was a great series. Yeah, so, I mean, I'll take suggestions if there's other stuff that I should watch.
Well, since all three of you mentioned Gurren Lagann, I was going to mention there's often a show that is put next to it, sometimes even just kind of grandfathered on top of it, kind of like it's almost its surrogate father. It's available for really cheap on DVD domestically as well. It's called Gao Gaigar.
Yeah, Gao Gaigar, I know about. Gao Gaigar. That one?
He sang the theme, right?
Yeah. With the golden hammer?
Yeah. It's a really fun show. It's from 1997. It was basically a toy commercial, but for whatever reason, they got given a massive budget. It's by the Sunrise Animation Company. And at the time, Evangelion and spin-off stylings of Evangelion were getting pretty big. So the Gurren Lagann team were kind of trying to strike back against angsty robot anime, and they were kind of like, this may be the last show of its kind, so we're going to have this big, fun show. No characters ever betray each other. Courage is whatever, you know.
It's definitely a callback to the old robot anime, you know, I think from the 80s, like Getter, King, and even a little bit of the Gunbuster, you know, like that they all have that same kind of barrel design.
Yeah.
Gunbuster.
Gunbuster's pretty awesome, too. Speaking of which, I got to go blow my nose. So, Jeremy, would you like to talk to Gunbuster for a second?
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Actually, no, it's funny because we have this is my DVD set that I've had for years, and one of my friends, he was down visiting me about a month ago. I was like, dude, you got to watch this. So he borrowed it. Yeah. He's not a big anime person either. Yeah. He's like, oh, I love it. Because he's more of a hard sci-fi fan. But he loved like the relativity of the elements in it, like the
whole astrophysics.
Yeah.
It's like intense sci-fi. I mean, they take like, it's good because they talk about astrophysics, and there's like what was it, Michio Kaku style, like.
Yeah, at the end of every episode, they actually have a little miniature science lesson that goes for 2 minutes, where all the characters are little chibi characters, and they literally explain the science behind the episode. And sometimes it's false science because in their world, the science has moved beyond what we understand yet. So it's real science mixed in with false science, but in their world, it's all the same. So it's a neat aspect that I don't think has really been followed up on that much.
It's actually something that Gogdog sort of does now and then as well, because it's a giant robot toy show pretty much. But whenever they have something that doesn't make much sense, the narrator will just kind of take the audience's side almost while the action's going on and just explain why it works in that world. Like, why does the giant hammer get covered in golden energy and smash things into, light? And it's like, well, what it does is it uses gravity to compress things into light particles. You're like, that doesn't make sense, but it does, because the robot just turned into a hand and plugged onto his arm, and it was kind of cool.
That was a dump truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes no sense.
Awesome.
And it's like its shoulder pads are Shinkansen trains.
Yeah.
Right? Or something like that. It's crazy. It's like a robot within a robot within a robot that forms Scout Geiger.
Yeah, it's this really logical combination. It's like a lion, a bullet train, and a stealth bomber.
Yeah, it makes sense in Japanese robot anime physics.
So, just with the show, this is the first big day of the show. There's one more day of the show. Are you guys going to be coming in on Sunday as well?
No, I think it's just one day.
I'm gonna go ride Star Tours tomorrow.
You go?
Yeah, and the Little Mermaid.
Don't get sick.
I try not to.
Okay.
I'm gonna go buy some Star Tours toys.
Yeah, give me ambush at Star Tours.
You want ambush?
Yeah, special edition.
Okay, I give for you.
It's a special space trooper.
Okay.
You want the special space trooper?
We live this, man. We're not faking.
Have any just
confirm that.
You look so sad.
Well, have you guys gone for any of like the high end Star Wars toys or even robot toys? Like, have you guys ever gone for some of the super expensive stuff?
Yeah, I have the problem with the masterpiece, stuff.
You've got the problem.
Yeah, I got to get all that stuff.
The orange prime, the clear prime.
Yeah, and all the
rainbow
the
prime.
bootleg G1 primes that they have at the show. Oh man, that's like crack to me. Yeah.
I am digging you guys are totally into the third party stuff as well, because it's always
so awesome.
It's better. It's better, man. It's because someone's going like, I'm gonna make an orange prime. And you're like, what? Like, it makes no sense. And there's also people who do these crazy one-offs on. They use the molds of Optimus Prime, and they make like the 7-Up Prime. And they paint him like a 7-Up truck. They're like, what? This is great. So yeah.
cool. Yeah, with the high end stuff, I was also going to say with Star Wars, there's some really high end stuff you can.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but it's. I remember back in the day when, there weren't Star Wars collectibles that were over, $40.
Yeah.
And now there's stuff that's several $100s,
and we should point out that Josh was one of the curators at Rancho Obi-Wan, so he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I worked for Steve Sansweet for 6 years, putting his collection together and cataloging it. So I've seen all that stuff, and that's one of the main reasons why I've kind of backed away from Star Wars. Just overload.
I've seen enough.
Yes, you don't even know. Yeah.
And how about yourself? Any other any high end stuff on your menu?
I mean, I guess like I said earlier, the stuff that I buy is pretty niche. With the robots, like 2 years ago, I bought the Chogo King DX Macross Frontier Valkyrie, the Alto Valkyrie.
Oh, nice.
The Messiah one. And then like I proceeded to go online to look for it on the Wonder Festival. I think there was like an attachment, a mail-on attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went on to look for it, but they were sold out. In terms of the last high-end robot I bought this at Wonder Festival. I bought this Conti that was kind of like a Reveltech / resin kit.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. So I really like limited, weird, like it's all about the hunt for me, I guess, when it comes to getting.
Have you ever looked into Ashley Wood's World War Robot stuff?
No, I haven't.
That's some dead limited stuff.
Oh, really?
It's a real weird aesthetic, but it's an artist driven toy line. So it's like most of them are he puts up like a 24-hour pre-order window and then makes them to order after that's closed.
Ooh.
And it's pretty nuts. And there's some of them down in the dealer room too.
And the game is on.
So the one last topic I thought of, which would be a real uniting topic for us all, because it brings in bits of everything we've been talking about, is Star Wars Transformers.
We actually just had a conversation about that. So My girlfriend, who is not a nerd
You
at
have a
all.
girlfriend?
I do have a girlfriend too. We actually all have girlfriends.
Are they on the
If you can
delivery
believe
floor?
that, they're real too.
They're not.
They're not 2D, right?
Yeah, they're not 2D.
2D versus 3D. That's a whole other conversation.
They're not cotton. They're not made out of rubber.
Do they need the glasses though? If they're not 2D?
No cotton.
So my girlfriend, she saw some of my Star Wars Transformers, and she's like, "What is this? This is awful. This is horrible. Why? What?" Like, she just could not have any truck with, mixing the genres. And I'm like, I think that's fine. Like, I don't have any problem with it. But I think that everyone else in the entire world vehemently hates it. Like, the people I was working with on Clone Wars, when it first came out, I got the Boba Fett Slave One, and they saw that, and they just tore into me, man. Just tore into me. I'm like, what? I can enjoy both. It's okay. It's like your shelf has, a Boba Fett figure, and it has, an Optimus Prime. It's cool. Like, you can mix them. But I don't know if these gentlemen agree with me. The way they're looking at me, I don't think they do.
He's giving you a pretty dirty look this whole time.
You look disgusted.
Those Star Wars Transformers are effing ridiculous. They're hideous.
Ridiculously good.
No. And it's just, to me, I mean, it just seems to me that you're taking two genres and it's a cheap way to get the other fan to buy into, it's just, and I'm sure that little kids love that stuff, but it's so stupid.
Are you glad you ceased curating the collection before they came out?
Yes.
So for the collection, would they have to actually display that stuff too?
He has all that stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he has all that stuff too. I mean, I don't mind some of the crossover stuff that I think is kind of cool. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Hasbro exclusive for Comic-Con this year, the Cobra Commander with the
G.I. Joe thing.
Yeah. And I think that's really cool. That's, kind of smart. Yeah. But when you cross toys like that, I don't know. It just doesn't work for me.
Oh, I have no comment. I just see them, and I think they're in aren't they in the special bargain bin on Toys R Us or something?
No, there's some waves coming out.
Oh, there's more waves?
Yeah, they're actually one of the
stopped.
most successful products Hasbro's released in the last couple of years.
Sad.
Oh, wow.
They are selling. They are selling like wildfire.
You're so angry.
I am not.
Have you seen there's one that I found was the one that brought a lot of people out of the pure hate, and it's the one and people will still say I still hate that line except for that one. Is they made, I don't even know what the shuttle is because I don't know my prequel shuttles that well, but it's a prequel shuttle that transforms into a really angry looking robot Yoda.
What? How does that even work?
Because Yoda has used the Force so hard, and then it even has a reveal, it has almost like a cinematic reveal, you're transforming. It's like, what's going on? And these two panels open, and it's not just like a Yoda face; it's like a really angry robot Yoda face glaring out from inside this shuttle. It's like, why am I here?
You need that, Josh.
Did you remember? You probably remember back in the '90s. Do you remember when Galoob made the Micro Machines and they had those transforming Star Wars playsets?
Sure. Yeah.
And that was like the hint of it back then. It's a Luke X-Wing head, and we'll open it up and make it into a Rebel base toy or something.
Hanger.
More accurate.
Thank you.
And
You definitely need
We've
that.
been shown a
Josh.
picture.
that's hideous.
Look at that face.
That's it. Yeah, we
Look
see
at that
Yoda.
face.
He looks angry and drunk.
That's why you need it.
No,
And
Remind you that.
It's so big, that head too. It's because he's a squat little robot. His head is just enormous.
things are being.
Whoa!
Look how mad he
You
is.
should see the look on Josh's face. This interview's over.
That's why I picked Star Wars Transformers to finish off.
Yeah, just close it down, man.
I think when they first came out, I remember seeing them in the pictures on the interwebs, and how it's it's the ship, and then it transforms into that character, and it doesn't remotely look like that character.
That line had the worst growing pains because it wasn't even by the Transformers team. I believe it was actually by the Micro Machines team, who had been coming off Titaniums, and so there's those early toys had such interesting ideas that were executed as though it was a team who's never made a transforming toy before. And then but there's a couple of them I've been told which are totally worth looking at. I haven't looked at them myself. They made a Death Star that turns into Darth Vader, and it has a cloth cape, which means that is the Death Star with the like continent-sized layers of cloth folded up inside of it.
That's cool. That's all right.
Yeah.
Don't get angry.
You need it.
Well, they're doing a Star Destroyer, and it's a Star Destroyer that turns into the prequel good version of the Star Destroyer, and it can turn into Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker. It's the quad changer.
Whoa.
Wow.
Imagine if the movies had this instead of the what we got. Imagine if Star Wars was all about like all the X-wings turning into giant robot versions of the pilots.
Dude, I want to see that movie.
I'm just glad that I was the age I was when the original Star Wars came out. 'Cause I would not want to be a little kid. I mean, I'm sure I would be having fun with all this stuff, but no.
And on that note,
What a lovely interview we had.
Let's get back to the dealer's floor and buy some toys.
Yeah, thank you all for listening, and thank you guys for coming by.
Oh, thanks for having us.
It was real fun. Apologies for having to run off to blow my nose. The Pasadena air is doing me in.
You're used to that clean Canadian.
No, I'm a snob. But hope we can talk again sometime. And
That was awesome.
yeah, I'll see you guys around. Stay tuned, everybody, for more Botcon podcastery. Hopefully one where I am not sniffling all the time. That would be better podcasting. Bye-bye.